All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Doug Petkanics. I'm the founder of a project called Livepeer, which is a DePIN infrastructure network that's been building the world's open video infrastructure for the last 7 years, one of the longest running DePIN projects. And if anyone saw the previous talk, I'm going to talk about a similar topic, something I care deeply about, which is the sort of importance of opening up and decentralizing access to artificial intelligence. And I'm going to talk about why that's really critically important right now. We're in an important moment. And I'm going to talk about how crypto networks or DePIN networks actually are a critical part of the solution to doing that. A lot of people this week have been wondering, what do crypto and AI have to do with one another? Is it just a meme? Is it crypto's search for a narrative? Is it a pivot? I'm going to make the case that it's not. I'm going to make the case that it's not the total solution, but that decentralized technologies and blockchain networks can be a really pivotal impact into decentralizing artificial intelligence. I'm going to talk about sort of two reasons why it's really important. One is the risk of regulatory capture that prevents access to decentralized projects, international projects, startups from having access to artificial intelligence, one of the most transformative technologies of our generation. And I'm going to talk about the lack of access to the compute that's necessary in order to actually train AI models, run AI inference to anyone outside of the big tech monopoly players. First, I think we can all acknowledge, if you've been paying attention, artificial intelligence is accelerating at a rapid pace. If you look back just 18 months ago, you would see a lot of this stuff didn't exist. And then late in 2022, consumers first experienced interacting with large language models, or LLMs, through OpenAI's release of ChatGPT, where you could type a prompt, ask a question, and have a chatbot type experience that accessed the world's information and can engage with you and give you answers, and how interactive that would be. And then right around that same time, and sort of following very quickly, was the introduction of kind of image generation diffusion models, which introduced heavier and heavier forms of media beyond just text. And you can type prompts, generate images, and you can see how that's changing the world of design and creativity. These things require a pretty significant amount of compute, but can still be performed pretty quickly. GPUs can give you an answer to a text query in hundreds of milliseconds. They can generate images for you in seconds with the turbo models, or maybe 30 seconds of GPU compute time in some of the more advanced models. But recently, you're seeing this accelerate even faster to heavier forms of media, and you're seeing really mind-blowing things like what OpenAI released with Sora just a week and a half ago, where you can type a prompt and they can generate 10, 20, 60-second videos just from the prompt. And this was really inspiring to the world, and it was really eye-opening in terms of how much it's going to change entertainment, creativity, content production. Tyler Perry, one of the most successful media moguls of our generation, saw this and literally canceled a $700 million investment into his Hollywood production studio, because he said, we need to pause and we need to rethink how AI is going to change and reshape video creation before we go and throw our money toward the old school way of developing things. This power doesn't come for free, though, in terms of compute. I mentioned it takes maybe 30 seconds to generate a beautiful image using AI. To generate a 30-second movie might take an hour of GPU compute time. And anyone who's actually tried to pay for and access GPU compute right now knows how expensive it is and how much of a shortage there is. This is reflected really heavily in the price of one company's stock, NVIDIA, and by the revenue that NVIDIA, the company that makes all of these high-performance GPUs for AI training and inference, the revenue they're generating each quarter. What you see here is this quarter alone, they generated $18 billion of revenue selling data center GPUs for AI training, half of which was bought by 4 big tech companies: Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft. And this is only accelerating because these video generation models, which are the heaviest of anything we've seen, aren't even available to the public to play with yet. And as they are, imagine the explosion in this. This curve isn't slowing down anytime soon. So this shows how much demand there is for compute. What it doesn't highlight is how limited access is to anyone outside of big tech cloud companies that have to buy $100 million purchases to access this compute from NVIDIA. That's just simply not accessible to the rest of us. And that's where I'm going to connect the dots to how decentralized technologies and blockchain networks actually matter a lot in making sure that we have democratized access to this transformative technology. The first reason I'm going to hit on, and this is kind of ties to why now we're in a really important moment in terms of making sure that we ensure access, is that open and decentralized access is actually at risk due to regulatory actions being taken. Here in the United States, the president has signed an executive order already. It's already in effect that regulates how startups can interact with AI, or how companies can interact with AI. It contains a bunch of sort of draconian primitives, including that infrastructure as a service providers that want to provide AI inference have to do KYC on their users, and they have to actually report foreign nationals that are trying to use AI inference in their data centers. It says that there's actually regulations that you can't train models of certain sizes without complying with 6 different government agencies, and that the size of the models is defined by how many floating point operations you need in order to train it, which is just an arbitrary number chosen by the government at this early stage of AI iteration. Anyone who's tried to build a startup, a decentralized tech project, a hack, do anything innovative, knows that you certainly don't have the time or the money to comply with 6 different government agencies and wait for permission from the Secretary of Agriculture before you can innovate in the AI space. And this is going to be challenged. It's going to be fought in the courts. But we need to make our voices heard, and we need to create unstoppable platforms that sort of render this regulation less relevant to early stage innovators right now. This whole thing is not just the government alone. They're being influenced by the big tech companies who have already spent billions of dollars training their models, creating proprietary products, and sort of owning access. They want to own access to the space. They have lobbyists and they have law firms and in-house lawyers at hand that they can pay to do the compliance with these agencies. And that actually creates a moat because no startup challengers, no innovators, no individual hackers have the ability to pay and wait and comply with sort of arbitrary draconian restrictions. And it's really important that the open source AI movement and decentralized tech communities represent solutions, not just for regulatory reasons, but also for the second reason, which is to ensure that there's open access to this important technology. Elon Musk highlighted, GPUs are harder to get right now than drugs. I don't know if it's a super high bar, but it's still, it's a true statement. Why is this? You have companies like Meta who just are committing to spending $10 billion to NVIDIA to order the highest density compute units, the H100s. They say they're going to buy 350,000 of them. I think, a couple weeks ago they just announced they just bought 60,000 of them. These are the same machines that you can't get access to through the clouds because they're being sold out and reserved by these big tech companies. And while that may be the case, it's an open marketplace. NVIDIA can sell to who they want to. There's tons of idle compute out there in data centers for use cases like gaming, rendering, video encoding, that all can be put to use on open and decentralized marketplaces to train AI models, to perform inference, to do things like generate images, generate videos, run LLMs for chatbot communication. And all you need is sort of the right protocols to coordinate them and the right incentives to bring that capacity online. And that's actually the big opportunity that decentralized physical infrastructure networks that are blockchain coordinated have. They can create DePIN infrastructures that allow AI training and inference at scale. And they allow for a place to run open models that are not censored, that are not biased, that are not dictated by the interest of big tech advertising models or big tech sort of legal and regulatory restrictions. For those of you who don't know a lot about DePIN networks, it kind of describes a category of blockchain-based projects that coordinate real-world infrastructure. It can be things like mobile access points in the Helium network, automotive car sensor data in networks like DEMO, or in this case, large networks of GPUs or graphical processing units, which are used for AI compute. These networks have a couple superpowers that actually, the game is changed via crypto across, a number of vectors that matter: scale, reliability, cost, and access. I think the biggest superpower actually comes in scale, and it comes from the ability for these networks to bootstrap the entire supply side using crypto economic incentives prior to there being demand. That's really powerful. If you didn't have crypto, you didn't have blockchain, and you didn't have incentives, if you were to try to compete with Amazon Web Services, you would have to invest billions of dollars to buy data centers, buy tons of hardware from NVIDIA, buy the bandwidth, build software orchestration layers on top, a huge, ambitious, and risky undertaking. With crypto incentives, where you're actually making infrastructure providers owners in your network through distributing tokens to them in the early days, and you're not doing it for your own centralized control and profit, but you're saying those who bring the infrastructure are actually the owners of the network, as long as you show up and you're available, make your capacity available, you actually can see super scaled networks of GPUs show up available for your use case as the demand is ramping up, because their sort of compensation is in this sort of speculative bet that they believe this network will be useful in the future, and they want to be a big owner in it because they'll receive the fees that are coming in the future. And this is not made up. We've been doing this at Livepeer for 6 years. We have a huge network of thousands of GPUs that do video transcoding. I'll get to that. And it's existed across many other DePIN networks as well, and we're going to apply it to AI. The fact that these networks are open, anyone can put compute on them, and they compete on price to do jobs, means that you actually get the lowest cost possible. You have node operators competing with their idle hardware that's not otherwise being used to say, I'll charge a lower price because I want to get the job and earn this additional revenue. And so for video encoding, you see that the Livepeer network is 10 to 50 times more cost effective than what you would see in public clouds. And that's going to be really powerful for this super heavy form of compute where you need hours of GPU time to generate videos, images, et cetera. So excited about that. These networks can be reliable when they're that cost effective because you can afford redundancies, you reduce single points of failure, and of course, you have open access, which allows you to train and run inference on open models, allows people to pay as they go instead of having to reserve capacity months in advance like you do with the clouds. And it enables people to build personal agents, personal LLMs, free from the biases that are you're seeing in products like Google Gemini that are trying to be sort of subject to the interests of Google or the mainstream or the advertisers that don't want to disrupt Google's traditional business model. So as I mentioned, Livepeer is an example of this in practice when it comes to video encoding. Excited to bring these same capabilities to AI. Global network of thousands of GPUs. We transcode over 3 million unique minutes of video per week. That means at any given moment, hundreds of video streams are flowing through the platform and delivered to viewers at a significant scale, 3 million minutes of video watched per day across hundreds of applications built on the network. Excited to bring generative video to the network in the next couple of weeks and months, actually. This is not just made up non-real crypto stuff. It's powering real use cases that millions of people connect with every day. There was a concert last week on the Lot Radio, one of our users, with Fred again and Lil Yachty. Skrillex has been on there through that platform. So it's actually, you've onboarded millions of users to crypto without them realizing that there's anything crypto related. It's being used under the hood to power and coordinate these networks. On the left here, you see fishtank.live, a hugely popular internet TV show, had millions of viewers, generated millions of dollars in subscriptions in order to watch a real-world style show. huge with the Reddit crowd, all powered through a cost-effective infrastructure like Livepeer, in addition to powering many of the leading Web3 social and video and media applications as well. Quick slide about how we're going to bring AI compute onto the network. We're going to use a subnet type model where anyone running an AI node can submit AI jobs to node operators running AI nodes to use their GPUs to perform this compute. But all of this can piggyback off of the Livepeer network, which has been running for 6 years for node discovery, security of compute, and payment of settlement of payments. So you don't have to have some ambitious pie-in-the-sky vision that's, we have to build everything all at once. We're going to use something robust that's been delivering value for 6 years. So like I said, excited in the next couple of weeks to bring these capabilities in the video-specific vertical where we think AI is going to change the world. Lastly, I just want to reemphasize, I'm really excited to be working on this. As a common theme this week across ETHDenver, the time is now to actually create these open and decentralized video infrastructures to avoid the regulatory capture, which is coming into effect in the next couple of months due to the Biden executive order, and to ensure that there's open models and open access to infrastructure so startups can develop on these things before the opportunity slips away and you have to go through the big tech gateways. So it's been really inspiring to see this really common theme across ETHDenver this year. I think the industry knows the time is now, knows how important it is, and everyone is really excited to run fast to work on this mission together. So thank you very much for listening to the talk today. I'll be around if anyone has any questions, but you can find us at livepeer.org. And if you want to scan this QR code, you can kind of sign up for updates on the AI video processing work that's coming soon. So thank you very much, everyone.